Hello, Ken. This is my Michigan State Spartan versus Rutgers Scarlet Knight post-game video. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell down below. I do greatly appreciate it. If you like the video, let me know. Let's start with let the good times roll. Am I right? What a win. It was a great win. It was a beautiful thing. Saw a lot of good things. I didn't really see, I'm going to throw it out there, I didn't see a lot of things to say that were negative, but I do have a couple. But I gotta give a shout out to Angelo Gross. Phenomenal game, phenomenal couple of games now. He's really doing some great things at that deep safety position. I feel like this is a defense that was looking for some playmakers beyond Panashuk and Xavier Henderson, obviously. Looking for somebody to really step up, especially in the back end. And Gross has done a fantastic job the last couple games at that deep safety position. I think he's doing a wonderful job. There was that lob pass over the middle that Rutgers tried to complete to the tight end, and he went and dislodged it on a picture-perfect play. You can't coach it any better than that. You can't play it any better than that. He stuck his shoulder pad on the football right in the tight end's chest, and he couldn't hold on to the ball. It was a good hard hit, and Gross made sure to get his head out of the way so he didn't have to worry about targeting and none of that stuff. So it was a good, clean hit, and that's exactly the way he should be playing those passes over the middle. I felt like he also did a really good job. They dialed him up on a couple blitzes, and he did a good job there. And he also did a good job of helping out in the run game. Obviously, as the primary deep safety in the 4-2-5 defense that Michigan State runs, he's not going to be called on a lot, or shouldn't be called on a lot to stop the run game. But there was a few times where he stepped up there and made the tackle, or at least got in on the tackle. So he's at least aware of the fact that stopping the run is a team effort. It takes the entire defense to do that usually, and his willingness to be a part of that is huge. But he also does a good job of not getting caught out of position. So I just wanted to give him a shout-out to start things off. I think he's playing really well. Jalen Naylor, hello, goodbye. Thorn to Naylor, touchdown. That's what it felt like, especially in that first half, man. They just could not. And that's where I'm going to start with the offense, because that is a product of good game planning. That is a product of good coaching. That's a product of the players listening to the coaching and knowing what to look for. And I'll touch on that a little bit more in a minute. But Naylor, I've been saying for a couple weeks now, needs to be a major part of this offense. And once he does, this offense gets really scary good. Really good. And we saw why in this game. Because early on, what was Rutgers trying to stop? Reed and Walker, which meant that Naylor had no safety over the top. It was one-on-one. And I will take Naylor on that matchup any day of the week, especially when Michigan State's using play action well, when they're running flea flickers. I got to call out the flea flicker. I love it. It's a great play. It fell out of style for a while there, but Michigan State's bringing it back, and I love it. Yeah, I mean, without a safety over the top and with time for Naylor to pull out some double moves, it's too good to be true. It really is. And I got to give Peyton Thorne a lot of credit, too, because his ability to throw that deep ball is just getting better every week. His timing with Reed and Naylor is getting better every week, and that makes this offense scary. But back to Rutgers having to decide who to stop. You saw later on in the game that Rutgers went to more of a two-deep safety. And so Reed and Naylor usually had a safety over the top of both of them more often than not. They were trying to double out on those guys. And then you saw Walker explode because you have to pick your poison. And Michigan State's front line was able to beat Rutgers' front seven, which meant that Walker really exploded late in the second quarter all the way into the second half. He started out kind of slow because Rutgers was rolling a safety down into the box. They said, you know what? We're going to roll a safety on top of Reed. We're going to take him away. We're going to take away Walker and see what happens. Naylor happened. But I also think that a lot of that success was set up the past couple weeks when they started getting Naylor more involved by play play calls designed to go specifically to him. You know, you get him a part of the – make him feel like he's a part of the offense. Make him feel like every time he runs a route, every time he comes out of the huddle to run a play, it could be his turn. It could be his turn to be the guy. You know, I think for the first couple weeks he kind of was feeling lost in the shuffle, didn't really know how he was going to fit into this offense. And then when they made a concerted effort to be like, no, we need you to be the part of the offense. We're going to call plays specifically for you to get you comfortable, to get you settled. And I think this game – you saw a culmination of all those things. You saw a culmination of Walker and Reed's success. You saw a culmination of the coaching staff getting Naylor more involved in the offense, and that really shining through today. So great job by the coaching staff. And it was a great job by the coaching staff of making Peyton Thorne and the offense as a whole aware of what to look for. You know, if you see a safety rolling down into the box, one of your outside wide receivers is going to be one-on-one. Has to be. So look for that guy. Find out who it is, and then you target that, because I'll take Reed and Naylor against most corners in the country. I will. I think they're that good. If you see too high safety a lot of the time, then, you know, we're just going to start running the football because we can, because we're that good at it, and because Walker is such a weapon. Man, that... Side note, that run by Walker was phenomenal. The long run he had to set the record. I mean, that's a perfect display of what he brings to the table and why Rutgers was rolling a safety into the box early in that game. But my goodness, this offense and the way it looked in this game is exactly the reason why I said Michigan State has a legitimate chance at winning the Big Ten. This offense is scary good, and you have to pick your poison. Peyton Thorne has proven now he can throw the deep ball, right? He's proven now he can make plays with his legs. He's proven he can throw those underneath routes to move the chains. You know, who you going to pick to stop? You know, Peyton Thorne's playing really well at quarterback. Reed's a huge weapon, obviously, which is why Rutgers did everything they could to take him out of this game. Naylor just showed what a big-time weapon he can be. And you still got Walker sitting in the backfield. You got Connor Hayward sitting at tight end, who's capable of making some plays and moving the sticks. Their ability to stress the defense at so many different spots is really why I feel like, I mean, their defense is playing well too, but specifically the offense and the how difficult they're going to be to stop this year is why I say give them a chance. I legitimately think that they have a chance to win the Big Ten. I don't see any reason why not. And this offense is getting better every week. Defense is getting better every week. You're seeing more guys step up on that side of the football as well. There's no reason why, if they continue to grow together, that they can't contend for the Big Ten title. You know, so some of their toughest games, you know, you got Michigan coming up in a couple weeks. That'll be a tough one for sure. But the rest of your tough games come at the end of the year, and I expect this team to only get better as the season goes on. As good as they look now, they're going to look even better come end of the year. So there's no reason why they can't contend for a Big Ten title. I firmly believe that, and I think this game displayed what makes that offense so scary, because you're going to have to pick and choose who you're going to try to stop. And then, if you're giving help somewhere else, you have to hope that your defender can win that one-on-one matchup, and that's a tall task. I'm telling you right now. A lot of talented guys on this Michigan State team. The other thing, too, is that Peyton Thorne is not turning the ball over, and that also makes them hard to play against. You know, sometimes you rely on the ability to turn the other team over, especially if maybe you're a little bit outmatched at a few spots. You know, you're trying to trick Peyton Thorne into making bad throws. He's just not doing it. He'll tuck and run if he has to. You know, if there's nothing there, he's not going to force it. He's just going to tuck and run. And on those deep balls, you will notice, I've noticed, and you will notice too if you really pay attention to it, the only time I have seen Peyton Thorne underthrow a deep pass is when his wide receiver has like 3 or 4 steps, just to make sure it's a completion. Every other time that it's been tight coverage and he wants to take that shot, he'll throw it really long. And basically he's saying, either my wide receiver is going to make a heck of a play and go get this, or it's going to be an incomplete. He is not going to give it to the defense. The one exception was the late pass he threw against Nebraska over the middle. But I think he's learning from that. Just don't do those things. Play it safe. You've got enough playmakers. Give them a chance at it, but also make sure the defense can't get it. And if you do those things, you're in a really good position to win games. Offensively, Trey Mosley, great job, continuing to be that sure-handed move the sticks guy. When you got Reed and Naylor, on bracketing you on the outside, know your role, fulfill that role, and you become a major part of the offense. He is important, even if he's only catching 4 or 5 passes a game. And same for Connor Hayward. I love the fact that they are using Connor Hayward on those screen passes. I think he's perfect for that. As a former halfback, he's clearly run a lot of screen passes. And continuing to get him the ball, I think, is going to be crucial. Another thing that I really liked out of the offense, and this comes down to play calling, was their effort to kind of flip the script and get Reed involved with bubble screens and jet sweeps. In the same fashion that I said a few weeks ago that I wanted them to do that for Naylor to get him involved, once Rutgers decided to take Reed away and they were having success with Naylor, they didn't just settle for that. They said, no, Reed is a playmaker too. We want to get him involved. Let's start finding ways to get him the ball. So they ran him a bubble screen. They ran him on some jet sweeps. He's every bit as dynamic and explosive as Naylor is. So there's no reason why you can't flip the script and say, okay, they're giving us Naylor down the field, but they're not giving us Reed. How can we get Reed involved? Well, it's easy. You run some bubble screens. You run some jet sweeps. Take away that safety's ability to do anything by playing over the top. You get him stuff around the line of scrimmage, the safety's too far away to make a play on it, and now it becomes one-on-one plays again. So I love the fact that they did that. It's a great job coaching. It's a great job with the play calling to kind of flip those roles and say, all right, well, let's get Reed involved in the same way we were having to get Naylor involved when he was struggling. So I wanted to highlight that as well. I thought that was really great. Defensively, they're just playing well as a unit. They really are. The corners got more physical, and I like that. Yes, there is the possibility that they could get called for some pass interference moving forward. And we'll have to see how they adjust to that if that starts to happen. However, I personally like that physical play. I would come out saying, let's play physical. The wide receivers are constantly playing hands-on, trying to push the defender away. Let's get physical back. Let's hand fight with them. As long as you get your head around, look for the football, you're usually in a pretty good spot with that. They'll let some of that go. But I would come out playing that way every time, and if the officiating, if the officials decide, well, we want to, call this game, then maybe you take a step back and say, okay, they're calling it. Let's get away from it a little bit. Let's be aware of the fact that they're going to call this one tight. So let's go hands off. We'll do the best we can in coverage and let the rest kind of settle out how it will. But I would come out every game playing physical like that, get in that wide receiver's hip pocket, be willing to hand fight with them, and see what happens. See how the officials are going to call it, and then adjust from there. But, yeah, I can't really, Gross, I highlighted him. Xavier Henderson continues to fly all over the field, making great plays. Some of the linebackers are starting to step up and look more like a force in this defense. The defensive line continues to look good. And like I said about the corners, they just started playing more physical, and I think that's a good thing for this defense. I really do. Special teams were, it depends on which unit you're talking about. Coughlin missed one, a pretty easy field goal in my opinion, right before halftime. That was kind of a letdown. He's been a little bit streaky this year, so we need to get him dialed in a little bit. Rutgers wasn't willing to give our return game any sign of life. That's obvious. But we made the most of the opportunities that we were given. So I think special teams did a good enough job today, took care of the football, and, made some opportunities when they were given to them. But Rutgers was really focused on that, side of the what's the word I'm looking for? In that department of the game. They really understood that Michigan State can hurt you badly if you are not paying attention on special teams. So they were certainly focused. I'm sure they repped that quite a bit in practice leading into this game. So limited opportunities, but I felt like we did a good job making the most of what we were given. Negatives, I'd say coaching at right before halftime, the clock management could have been better. I'm not going to grill him too hard on that. That stuff happens sometimes. It's, you kind of get caught up in the moment. There's a lot happening, especially when it's crunch time like that. probably should have used a timeout there. Even Mel Tucker admitted, going into halftime, that they should have used a timeout there. But, they still got the 1 second put back on the clock. So it wasn't a complete disaster other than, Coughlin not coming through on the field goal. But, they could have spared themselves a little bit more time, got a little more settled on offense. I think they should have used a timeout in that situation. But it's not back-breaking, I don't think. Those things happen sometimes. Even the best coaches get caught up in the moment like that sometimes and just kind of lose track of the clock and the situation a little bit. So I'm not going to harp on that too much. But, overall, I think that everything went really well. Now, we do need to keep in mind that Rutgers was not at 100%. Bo Melton missed the game. I do think the game would have been a little bit closer. I think Michigan State would have won, no doubt. But I think that if Rutgers would have had Bo Melton, that the game would have been a little bit closer. To kind of put that into perspective, imagine if Michigan State, didn't have Mosley in the slot. And then all of a sudden you lost Jalen Reed. And so now you're down to and you didn't have Walker in the backfield. Now you're down to Naylor and Connor Hayward. That's basically what Rutgers and not a good and not a as good a quarterback as Peyton Thorne. That you take away one of those weapons in that situation, the situation that Rutgers is in, that hurts a lot, especially a player of the Bo Melton caliber. So I would liken that to, if Michigan State didn't have some of their weapons, and then on top of that you also lost Reed, obviously the offense is not going to look the same. It's not going to be as good, and that's a major blow to a team like Rutgers that just doesn't have the depth yet to make up for that loss. So I do think that could have made things a little bit closer. I do think even with Bo Melton, Michigan State would have won, probably by 10 or 14. But I do think that closes the gap a little bit, and it keeps the game from looking quite as ugly as it did. So let's keep that in mind, keep things in perspective. But overall, I think Michigan State played a great game. I did not like, another negative, I didn't like the fake field goal call. Not a fan of that. I feel like the fake field goal comes out in situations where, you're hoping to catch the opponent by surprise. Okay, there's plenty of plays that try to do that. I feel like the fake is set up for a team that is not moving the ball well offensively. I don't feel like Michigan State was in that position. And I feel like, the fakes are set up for a team that maybe feels like they're not as talented across the board. They can't just line up and expect to win a matchup somewhere. So you run a fake and try to catch the opponent off guard. And I don't feel like Michigan State was in any of those positions, which is why I don't really care for the play call. The offense was moving the ball just fine. I would have felt much better about them coming out on fourth down with the offense and not making it than to fail on that extra field goal attempt. You were moving the ball and you have the better team. Trust that. Have faith in that. And if you want to go for it on fourth down, just leave your offense out there. There is no reason in this matchup for Michigan State to feel like they needed to get cute with that. That's what it felt like. It felt like they're just getting cute, trying to trick the other team, trying to punk Rutgers a little bit, and you didn't need to. Your offense, for the most part, were moving all the way down the field, and then all of a sudden you don't have trust in them. You don't have faith in them to pick that up. I disagree with that play call. I know some people might like it. That's okay. It's differing opinions. It's fine. I just want to point that out, that I felt like it was unnecessary for Michigan State. I firmly believe they could have came out with the offense on that fourth down and converted it. I do believe that. I don't have a problem with the play design at all. I think that in a lot of situations that play could work when they're coming after the field goal to try to block it. So I do like the idea of the play. I just didn't feel like it was necessary for Michigan State to attempt that. So maybe they just wanted to get it on film and see how they felt about it, see how it worked, that kind of a thing. Really analyze it before they tried to use it maybe later in the year. I don't know. Sometimes coaches do that, especially in a situation like this. But it felt a little early in the game for them to try it. So I don't know. I was just a little bit baffled by that play call. But overall, I thought we played really well. I think we came out and did everything we needed to do. We put Rutgers away early, and it was all good from there. So that'll wrap this one. Remember, all love, all the time. Peace.